Good evening. Welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. This is the Barbershop. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. As you can see, I'm in my second studio of the house here. I'm in my garage studio, trying this out for the day. I'm actually trying to start a watch party, but it doesn't seem to be working, CC. Maybe I won't be able to. I'll do it on my phone. So, I always spend the first couple of minutes just getting folks engaged and, making sure that we've got all the groups watching and all that kind of fun stuff. So the watch party's going. I'm just not in it. All right. Well, it's very interesting that we are starting our evening out talking about online communities. And the reason is because we are talking about how to engage online and how to engage with different users and different dating apps. So if you watched our show a couple of weeks ago, we had talked about the different dating apps, and we did just kind of a survey of different dating apps from Tinder, which is like if you sign up for any of them, you're going to sign up for Tinder. Bumble, I think we talked about Hinge for a second. We talked about Torch. We talked about even some of the plus size dating apps, because that's the world that I come from, Curvy and Moo Plus, and even some of the fetish apps like Phoebe and things of that nature. But today I wanted to talk a bit about how to have a successful interaction online. Certainly not going to come from me. I'm hoping folks chime in with their successful interactions, because I've had varied levels of success meeting folks online. I'll say I'm actually going to be heading out for drinks with an ex of mine this evening, just to see her off out of Vegas. And she is really just a wonderful human. And we met on a dating platform, and we kind of talked about that. And every time we'd see each other, even after we weren't dating anymore, I'd give her a super like just to say hi. So I want to talk a bit about, and feel free if you've got some input, bring it on into the show. I want to talk a bit about what makes a successful dating profile, what makes a successful interaction online. What's interesting is I had mentioned this the other day when we talked about dating apps, and I had mentioned I used to say, "Hey, beautiful, how are you?" or "Hey, gorgeous, how are you?" Whatever. I always thought that was like a good way to start a conversation. And somebody I was dating said, like, everybody starts their conversation that way. And I was like, man, I thought I was doing the right thing. I was giving you a compliment. I was starting off strong, So, we all think we're doing the right thing. The online community, being online in general, the anonymity of it is powerful. It could be dangerous, right? It's very intimidating, right? You're speaking with someone you don't know if you're going to get feedback from them. You don't know if you're going to get the reaffirmation that you're looking for. You don't know what's going to happen, and you're taking your shot to meet somebody, hopefully for a long period of time, or if you're looking for a one-night stand, whatever it is, right? And you don't have really a clue about what is going to kind of transpire. So I thought I would start with what some folks say are the right ways to create a dating app or a dating profile, and then I thought I'd kind of add in my 2 cents here and there. Don't take my advice. I'm 35 years old and still haven't found my forever human. Thought I had a couple times. But we'll kind of get through this together. If you're logged in and you want to comment and you want to talk about your experience on different dating apps and different dating platforms, what has been successful for you, I think that's a great idea. And I want to, unfortunately, most of the people that are on these types of sites take their lead from others. And before you know it, everybody is saying, "Ooh, this is great, Johnny. Hold on. Keep this up, CC, please. I just enjoy a short, quick, how are you type of person. Read my profile that tells you everything instead of me having to go through it. It seems to me to work out much better." Johnny, I have to say, there were a few things that I'm not reading properly. There might be a word or two in there that I might be missing. You typed it fast or whatever, and that's awesome, though. The first part, I totally get it. The second part, I think I understand. Unfortunately, most of the people that are on these types of sites are taking everybody's lead. And I think that's incredible, Johnny. I don't know where you have come from. You're not a personal friend of mine. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. That's some amazing insight. So let's talk about that for a second. We all think we've got this unique thing. I'll give you an example. Apparently, on very many people's profiles, women that I speak to, it'll say, "I'm not your unicorn. Stop trying to have a threesome with me and your wife," or whatever. And I think to myself, how many people had to ask that question for you to put it on your profile? Like, how many people had to ask the question for you to say, "Please stop asking this," right? I think a lot of folks have also said things like, "Don't ask for nudes." A lot of folks have said, "I'm not." Oh, Johnny says, "I know Cece." Oh, well, thank you for watching, Johnny. I appreciate you, man. People are asking for nudes. Stop asking for friends with benefits. Don't waste my time with whatever. And I wanted to put the to put something. Oh, Cece says the internet's not very strong. Let's see if we can switch it up a little bit. Let's see if I could put it on my 5G. Would that work? Let's see if that works. Have been seeing is like a lot of these profiles that are constantly repeating the same things, like "Don't waste my time, don't do this, don't do that," that kind of stuff. And I think it's really important that we really try to do something different, right? And I remember I wanted to take all these different things that people were saying on their profiles and just be like, put them together and be like, how terrible are we on the internet that this is what has to be said on a profile? So I thought we'd go through a few things. What to put on your profile, how to have a successful interaction, right? I want to clarify, we had a guest on a little while back, and he was kind of giving some folks tips on how to have a good conversation online and build your profile and stuff like that. And a couple folks came back to me and said, he sounds like he's being a little manipulative. Sounds like he's showing people how to only show one side of themselves. So I totally get that. And I corrected him a few times during that conversation. Here, I'm not trying to tell you to do anything that's manipulative. I'm trying to tell you to be your genuine self, right? And the first thing I think that we should always start with is to be truthful, right? To be truthful and to be completely genuine. And I think that that's going to get you out of a lot of pickles, right? So something that I am pretty forthcoming with, people say, well, what do you, the first question they ask you is, well, what are you looking for on this site? And I'll say, honestly, I don't know. My goal always, I want to find my forever human. I don't know who that looks like. I don't know who they are. I don't know if I want to be in maybe an open relationship where there's a little bit more freedom or something poly. I don't know that. I think that. And then most people I meet say, you're a pretty monogamous dude. You kind of like having that solid person next to you. So I don't know. But my answer is always, at this point, I'm looking for companionship on a short-term basis. I don't even want to have sexual, interaction. I don't want to have physical interaction. I want to have companionship. I want to have some fun. I'm a cuddler. Those types of things. So I'll say that, and it tends to work out pretty okay. Some folks say, okay, that's not too. Thank you for being cut and dry. It's a little too ambiguous for me, or a little too fast paced for me, or whatever. Some folks say, cool, I'm down for ordering in, having a cuddle and seeing where it goes, or whatever, or going to get a coffee and seeing where it goes. Some folks say I'm casual. Some folks say, no, I really want to have 3 to 5 dinner dates and blah blah. And I say that's. I'm 6 weeks out of a relationship right now. It's just not what I can offer you. And I'm sorry. Maybe 6 months from now I can offer that and whatever. That's also why I'm not currently on any dating apps, right? So I thought that we'd kind of go through. I've been looking through some articles, and the one that I found that I think we can pull some good stuff from, but also kind of hit, push back a little bit on, is an article from self.com. And they talk about is like 10 different tips or 8 different tips that you want to just be aware of when you're building your profile. And then I thought we'd go into, how to have a strong interaction, just in general. So the first thing they spend a lot of time on photos. I will say this. I think photos are important. I also think we need to be really genuine about the photos that we take. I think that I do always try to pick the best photos of myself. And I think, once in a while, I sometimes will try to put like a casual pic in there as well, where it's not, there's no filter. I'm not dressed up, because I want people to see who I am. I've had situations where folks don't look anything like their photos, right? And this is what I want to talk about, because of the 8 things that they give you 4 different tips just on the photos. I think that this is a little too much, and I'll explain why. The reason that I think it's a little too much is we as a generation, we as a people, right? We as a population, but specifically I'll talk to my generation and probably below, the millennials and younger. We tend to place a lot of emphasis on the looks, right? Look, I have had one of the most interesting dating lives you could ever imagine. Okay. I don't share my stories, but it's been an interesting ride. I have been in touch with, been out to dinner with, dated some of the most physically attractive humans in my world that I think exist. Let me tell you that those that I have been most physically attracted to are those that I really sometimes wish I never met, or wish that, we got along in some way, shape, or form, or some capacity. There are others that I didn't really get along with the physical bond wasn't that strong. I didn't have a whoa, kind of situation when I swiped right on them. And those were the people that I could just sit up and laugh with for hours and hours and hours and not have a care in the world, not worry at all. I just really could have had a blast. And so I think that the first thing I want to talk about is really thinking less of these 8 tips that Self Magazine is giving us. 4 out of the 8 are about photos. And I think that that's too much emphasis, but come with me. Let's see what they say about photos. Okay. The one thing I'm glad they didn't say is they didn't say get a good angle, which to me is a no-no. It's body shaming. You know that I'm a fat advocate, right? It's body shaming. I'm not a fan of that, right? I don't like this photo, right? I tend to do it sometimes as well, right? I have a little extra skin under my neck. It's something I'm self-conscious about. I think that's ridiculous, okay? Here's what I think, right? The people that, hold on. I'm not drinking water today, CC, believe it or not. I'm drinking a diet soda because I'm exhausted, and I have to go out and have dinner with a friend tonight. And once I hit a certain age, I'm done for. I can't stay out past 9 o'clock. Hold on. Johnny says, what do you put in your profile comes from the inner soul and the heart. Message just fills grass. Profile. It's easier to read all the profile at once and try to think of all the little things to say in between. Yeah, so I dig that, Johnny. I dig being upfront on your profile. So let's jump into the profile. I think it's important to be upfront on your profile. I've listed everything on my profile, and then I think before I deleted my apps most recently, I think my profile said F it, just ruined my life now. And so I got more messages from the F it, just ruined my life now than I'd ever gotten ever. And people were like, I'm ready, I'll do it. And I was like, yeah, gee, that's exactly who I don't want right now. So come with me for a second. They say a couple things about your profile. Aim for between 5 and 7 photos. So they want you to have more photos. This way, you're being transparent. You're not trying to hide anything. The first thing I think of is, everyone's got one of those where are we finding all the tigers to take photos with? I've never in my life had an opportunity to take a photo with a tiger. Don't think I'll ever want to. Not something I'm interested in. I don't know. But they say don't wear a lot where you're wearing sunglasses. This is something I'm guilty of. I do post some photos of me wearing sunglasses. I just think I look cool, and I do my little eyebrow thing, and my sunglasses cover my eyes, and I don't know. just something to do. So they say aim for between 5 and 7, be transparent. They say bolster your profile with some lifestyle shots. So that communicates who you are. I'm going to push back a little bit. I'm going to say bolster your profile with photos that are genuine representations of you. I'm not somebody who like I don't go out a lot. I'm not a drinker. Okay, I had drinks on the 4th of July on Saturday night, and I had it in my brain. The last time I threw a pool party, like 10 or 11 people came by. Like it was literally like, hey, what are you doing today? Hey, I'm having people over. Come over. And so I had it in my brain that 4th of July was going to be like that people were going to just come over and hang out with me, and everyone was going to have nothing to do. So I made like a huge pitcher of sangria. I had 2 6-packs of beer. We made margaritas. My buddy brought over another 6-pack. I had a whole thing of seltzers, right? The carbonated seltzers. Well, we started the night off like with a cheers. It was like 7 o'clock at night. And he's like, I don't know if I'm going to stay out late. I think I'm going to go home early. I was like, yeah, me too. We'll just 2 a.m. later. We're like listening to fireworks and stuff like that. Let me tell you something. I hated how I felt for the next 2 days. I am a terrible drinker. So I'm not going to put photos of me going out and partying and having a lifestyle that I don't have, right? I'm not going to put the one picture of me bungee jumping, which I've never done, but if I had, right, or of me, in China from 6 years ago or 4 years ago, because I don't go there often, right? I say don't bolster your profile with lifestyle shots. Bolster or fill your profile with shots of you doing the things that you normally do. So for me, walking my dog. I'm going to throw a picture of Joker in there. He's an important part of my life. You need to know that if you go on a date with me, and let's say we meet at my place, or we ever come back to my place, or you sleep over, or whatever it is, like, whether 1 or 10 dates later, you need to understand that, you're going to meet my dog, and my dog is going to pee on your foot. It's going to happen. Let's have that conversation. If it's not something you're into, that's fine. I'm not a big cat person. I see a picture of you with a cat, I'm probably going to think twice. Joker doesn't get along with cats either. Let's have that conversation before we go on a date, right? Keep the focus on you. So this kills me. I remember swiping on profiles where every single picture was a group shot, and I had to go through and dissect and see, okay, which one's the consistent person in all of these? And then I'm like, okay, I think I got it. So keep the focus on you, I think, is a good idea. Consider using only one selfie, if any at all. I don't know. I don't think that's a big deal. Take some selfies. Not everybody has a professional photographer laying around that they can take photos with, or a friend that's going to take their profile shot. If you do, that's cool. And I know people have set up photo shoots specifically for, their profiles. I think that's great. You may not have that resource. Take a selfie. Take a couple of selfies. It's how you look. To me, that's way more genuine than the other things that we do. Johnny says, all you see is drinks, dogs, cats, cars, drinks. And I'm not a drinker either, and that turns me right off. Yeah, so, Johnny, I appreciate you, man. That's something that for me, is a turnoff. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. I'm just not a big drinker. So if somebody says to me, let's go out for a couple of drinks, I will respond with, well, sure, we can do that. I'm not a heavy drinker. I might just get a soda. Is that okay with you? I have no issue going to the bar and getting a soda. No issue at all. Makes me happy. I also think that in today's day and age, if you're upfront with somebody and you say, hey, are we going to be intimate at all? I like to be sober. I think consent is important. I'm going to want to be sober, right? So I don't know about the whole drinks thing. Drinks for me is like you've gotten to know somebody. If you're going to have some drinks, maybe you as you're getting older, as you're getting to know each other, you have a nice, night inside where you're drinking. Stop trying to look sexy because that's a turnoff. Like you're gonna. Well, I'll agree with you half on that, Johnny. Feeling sexy, feeling yourself is okay. I understand what you're saying. Being your genuine self. All right. So, the Self magazine says, be as pithy as possible. When you've only got a few sentences worth of space, every little bit counts. Like Tinder or Hinge, where they limit your profile, your characters. That's why I say don't put it all on the Tinder profile. Look, that's for match, right? You want to put it all on the match profile? Put it all on the match profile. On the Tinder profile, I say try to give a snapshot. Maybe it's a fun movie quote. Maybe it's, like at one point I had a an inner dialogue with myself on my Tinder profile, and it said, I'm going to delete this app tomorrow. Next day, match with somebody you like. All right, I'm definitely going to delete this app tomorrow. Next day, match with somebody you like. I'm deleting this app tomorrow. And people thought that was kind of funny. And that's kind of who I am, right? I'm definitely an indecisive person. I'm definitely somebody who I think it's a challenge for me to find the perfect human. I think at some point I might even go with a dating, matching, what do we call that? Like somebody who matches you properly, right? So for me, if you wanted an insight, a window into who I am, that inner dialogue might be a good one. There's no way I'm going to be able to sum up who I am, and I don't expect you to on a dating profile like Tinder. There's no way, right? Academic, writer, business owner, charity work, issues with my weight and size, 35 years old, live alone, friends everywhere, just moved to Vegas from New York. I mean, right there, you're already over the amount of characters you would need, right? So to me, putting an inner dialogue in there, putting something kind of fun in there, might be the way to go on Tinder. So I do agree to be as tight as possible, but they say you want to pack as much information as you can. I don't know. On a Tinder profile, I don't know if that's the way to go, because you're never going to get it all in there. And then somebody's going to say, well, you left something out on purpose, right? 21 minutes, you know the deal. We take a break at around 20 minutes. This is WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host of The Barbershop, Dr. Christopher Salute. Today we're talking about online apps, and we're talking about how to have a proper interaction online. Starting with your profile, we're going to jump into interacting in a little bit. But if you've been with us before, we have to take a very short break for our listeners so that our advertisers, when we loop this, can throw in their advertising. So you're going to see me just be kind of silent. And my dog's getting excited. Give me 1 second. Okay, and we're back. This is WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host of The Barbershop, Dr. Christopher Salute. We're just having some fun talking about online interactions, how to have the proper online interaction, right? First with your profile, and then how to start that conversation. So we're up to 6 out of 8 on the stealth.com website with their top 8. And I'm going to skip 6 because it says include a conversational opening. I want to talk about conversations at the end. So we're going to jump into 7, stay positive while being specific about what you're looking for. So I don't do that. I am a very, very pessimistic person online. I'm a very pessimistic person and skeptic person in general, just based on my interactions in life that I've lived in my history. I do try to be as positive as possible, for sure. Sometimes you can't help it, right? Sometimes you just, that sarcasm, that New York sarcasm is going to come through, right? So I try, not something that I'm always very good at. So they do stay positive, right? So we've got a couple of folks waving in our chat rooms as well. Feel free to give us some comments also. Number 8, so they say avoid cliches, and I want to talk about this. Those sections asking you to describe yourself can be baffling. I like to travel. I don't really know what to write here, right? Those are kind of cliche. Here's the thing, right? And I want to pause for a moment. We've gotten into this kind of cancel culture where nothing anybody says online is okay anymore, right? I understand that 2020 is a tough year, right? 2019 was a tough year, and 2018, going back, right? We need to be a little bit less critical of those who are trying their best to put out a genuine self online. We do. So I don't know that I love this avoid cliches. Who the heck is to decide what a cliche is and what is not a cliche? I want to stop there for a second. I think that we've gotten this culture where we dissect people online where they make a mistake, right? I say be cliche. If cliche is who you are, be cliche. I am a corny dude. It is who I am. It is literally part of my DNA. Dad jokes. I'm wearing cargo khaki shorts right now and a pair of flip-flops. That is who I am. I am corny. right? Thick frame glasses, it's who I am. So I'm not going to avoid cliches because it's literally the person that I am. I think what they're trying to say is, I think they're trying to say, be specific to you, and that's cool. They also go on to say, be specific in describing your ideal partner. If you are introspective enough to do that, absolutely, yes. You should be as specific as possible in describing your ideal partner, because I think that you'll avoid a lot of headache later. I had put on my profile once, I am looking for my future forever partner, maybe something non-traditional, because I don't know. I have never really been in that non-traditional poly type atmosphere. And I said, maybe something non-traditional. And I started talking to this person, and we were talking for a couple of days, and she's cute, and I'm, having good dialogue with her. And to be honest, I wasn't really as engaged as I wanted to be. She didn't live close. I had found some kind of glaring flags that we didn't match on. And so, what are you looking for? I said, my future partner, blah, blah, blah. And I said, but, I don't know what that looks like. I said, I want something non-traditional. I literally repeated what was in my profile. Maybe I want something non-traditional. I don't know yet. And she goes, well, you are just a piece of scum and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, what the heck just happened here? And, she goes, you should tell people that off the bat. And I said, well, I did. I put it in my profile, and she goes, no wonder you weren't engaged with me. You were trying to avoid that. And I'm like, what? How did this happen? Right. So I do think be as specific as possible, right, where you can, for the things that you may not know what you want, where you're going. And that's okay too, right? Say, hey, I don't know. That's where a site like Torch comes in, right? I think that's like a friends with benefits kind of site. You might want to get into that. Now let's jump into number 6. It says include a conversational opening. So this says that kind of approach can work because it gives people a witty opener, especially when it's a challenge. If you're looking for something serious, it can help to add some descriptors so people can better determine whether you have something substantial in common. So I want to jump from, we're covering 2 topics today. We're covering what your profile looks like to what your first conversation looks like and your conversations going forward, right? I do like having a conversation starter. So a lot of folks will say, put your sports teams on there. I'm not a sports guy. I never have been. I remember my father asked me one time, we were watching a sports game. I think we were watching a Mets game live. And he said to me, you having fun? I said, yeah, Dad, I'm having fun with you. And he said, next time we hang out for your birthday, it was like my birthday. He goes, next time we hang out, do you want to see a Broadway show? And I said, yeah, I would really rather do that. Right. So in our watch group, Alicia says, I think being cliche is just showing you're a little more old school and honestly genuine these days. Alicia, thank you. I appreciate you. Right. So I agree. I think that being cliche is not a terrible thing. I think that it just means you're not, I mean, if who you are is that phrase, then use that phrase. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you have to do. It is what it is. So I appreciate that, Alicia. Thank you. If you didn't see that comment, it was from, we're hosting a watch party on Facebook, so I'll read those once in a while. So now on to conversation starters. So I had mentioned at the beginning of this conversation today that I was putting on, I would do 2 things. Throw in a compliment, right? Hey, beautiful. Hey, gorgeous. Because obviously I swiped you if I'm physically attracted to you, right? And then I would try to say something about their profile. So if they said, let's go get some cheese fries, I'd be like, hey, what kind of cheese is going on the fries? If they said, I don't date anybody who's under 5'10", I'd say, I'm exactly 5'10". Does that work for you? Right? Something that shows that you've read their profile, right? But this is where I'm going to be honest. This is where I'm looking for some feedback, because I am probably not a good conversation starter, as evidenced by the fact that I am currently I'm currently without partner, right? So I'd love for some folks to comment in and let me know what works for you. I'll tell you what works for me, okay? What works for me is somebody who says, they've watched or they've looked at the profile, they've read something about it, they say something genuine about it, right? I'm not a huge fan of, I have my profession listed, professor, teacher, educator, whatever. And I'm not a huge fan of the whole, hey, I think I need to stay after class with you kind of thing. I get it. Okay. It can get a little fishy, right? What kind of flirting are you looking for? Are you looking for intimacy? If not, that doesn't really have a place here. I don't want to get into that conversation. It can be misleading on both ends. So I'm not a huge fan of that kind of opener, something that's overly sexualized. And I would imagine that as the females in the room, probably from men, certainly don't want that, right? I'm more of, I like the conversation starters. I also, the how's your day going? It seems to be something that I go back to over and over. How's your day? What's going on with you today? Here's what I'm trying to get at, right? When I ask you how your day's going, I'm trying to see what your day looks like. Like, who are you, right? Because if you say something like, well, I just got off of work and it's 1 p.m. Okay, cool. I know you work early, right? Or I'm dealing with my kids all day. Okay, I know you have children, right? Or I just woke up and it's noon. Okay, I know you work late, or maybe you're not employed, or whatever, right? That's what I'm looking for when I ask, how's your day going? Unfortunately, the answers you tend to get when you ask somebody how's their day going, my day's going well. How about yours? Okay, that doesn't tell me anything about you, right? And then I can say, my day's going well as well. Now you don't know anything about me either, right? So I try to get as many snippets as possible about myself into that conversation, right? So I'll say something like, if I'm going to talk about my day in that Tinder or Hinge or Bumble or whatever conversation, I'm going to talk about something specific about my day, right? So somebody says, how are you doing? Right? It's fine. I get it. We're under a lot of pressure when we make that first conversation happen. Right? I get it. Right? Somebody says, how are you doing? I'm not going to say fine or well or good. I'm going to try to give them an insight into my soul. Right? How are you doing? I'm doing well. I got off the phone with my mother. I miss her greatly. She's in New York. I live in Las Vegas. I'm going to a party tonight. It makes me anxious. I don't know what to bring. Right? So there you have a response to how is your day going online, right? That's a little bit more insightful that will tell you a bit about who I am, right? How's your day going? My day's going great. I did my favorite thing. I went on a hike with my dog. Now I'm about to take a nap, or because it's a Saturday, right? Now I'm about to take a nap and I'm meeting some friends for dinner tonight, right? So now you know what my day looks like. If you're going to have that kind of interaction with, how's your day going? Then I think that's fine. But you don't know. You can only prepare your actions. You can't prepare everyone's reaction. So it's a challenge, right? It's a challenge to see when you ask, how's your day going, what kind of response you're going to get, right? So feel free to flood the comments. Let me know what works for you. I'll tell you the best conversations that I've had. I'm a witty banter kind of a guy, right? You engage with some straight up banter with me right away, get into a fun little debate. At one point I had on my dating profile, before I deleted my apps, most recently, at one point, this was a couple months ago, if you can't engage in a debate between who would win who's better, Iron Man or Batman, then I don't think this is going to go very well, right? So, I had some cool responses to that. Hey, everybody, and I love Batman and I love Iron Man, right? Batman was my favorite comic book character, right? Rich billionaire who just learned martial arts and became crazy. That's awesome, right? Versus the reason that I love Iron Man now is I've had heart surgery. I don't know if you can see a little bit. I had open heart surgery a couple of years ago, and so did Iron Man. So naturally, that's going to be my, the person that I resonate with more now. So I think that they're both great, and so I think that's a really kind of a great way to start that conversation. I had multiple people. Everybody knows Batman's the best. He doesn't need the armor. Well, everybody knows Iron Man's the best. He's better looking. He's more sarcastic. I don't care what the answer is. I'll debate either one. But it was kind of fun to have that conversation. Hey, what's your favorite Harry Potter house? Right? Those are the kinds of conversations that I think are a blast. So let's see what Johnny says. I'm going to read, because Johnny, this is a long one from Johnny. Hi, Lucy. I saw your pictures and I kept coming back to them, so I thought I would write. My name is Johnny. I've been here in Florida for 6 years. I never thought I would come to Florida, but I'm glad because it's like paradise. I hope you read my profile that pretty much tells you everything about me and how I feel inside. look at my vision and tell me if you have the same type of vision of what you would like. By vision, I mean close your eyes and think about walking down the road, hand in, looks like it got cut off, but hand in hand, and so and so and so. So I think that's a great opener. Johnny, I think you and I should go on a date, man. I'm feeling your energy. I'm kidding. Johnny's got a great energy, and I do agree with that, right? Being as upfront as possible. I don't know if that would scare some folks off, and it might. It's a long dialogue to have right off the bat. I do agree that's a great dialogue to start, right? I think that's a great conversation to have right off the bat and say, look, here's who I am. Here's what I'm about. This is what I want. This is what I want out of this relationship. If kind of like you're in class, your 7th grade class. If you agree with me, if you like me, check this box, right? So now Alicia on my chat says, a message like that would intimidate me. In all honesty, even if looking for something serious, that is a lot. Okay. So now we see somebody bring. So Johnny, if you're not getting the response that you want, that could be the reason, right? Alicia says that would intimidate. Now there's a generational difference. I'm gonna note between Alicia and Johnny. Alicia's a close friend of mine, and Johnny is a close friend of Cece's, and we're of different generations. Now, there may be folks in Cece's generation that appreciate a longer dialogue like that. Don't forget that they didn't come from the Twitter era, right? They didn't come from the text message era, right? Those folks. Email was new for them, right? They wrote letters, they wrote postcards, so that may be okay. So if you're of the Johnny and Cece generation, and let us know how you feel about that. Alicia, I do tend to agree with that. If I got a message like that from a woman, I got to really think about how I would respond to that. I might say something like, yeah. So Johnny, Alicia, I got my computer here. Alicia, Johnny's 73 years old, so Johnny's old enough to be somebody that would be your parent, right? They probably, they were writing letters when we were writing tweets, right? And so that might be something that is okay. I got to think about someone like my mom if she were on a dating app. I try to get mom on dating apps all the time. I love her to death. I want her to find her special human. I think that Cece says, Cece is much younger. Yes, Cece, I'm sorry. I didn't, all I saw was Johnny's picture. He looks great for 73. I apologize. But I think about how my mother would react if it were a genuine message. I think my mom would probably say, yeah, cool, let's talk about it. You know what I mean? I don't know. And when I say, if you know my history, when I say mom, I mean my stepmom. My mother passed when I was very young. So but I agree with you, Alicia. I'm trying to think at my age. So I'm 35. I'm right in between kind of Alicia and Cece. And a little bit more skewed towards Alicia than Johnny. If I got a message like that online, a longer message that was genuine, and let's say it said all the things that I wanted it to say. Let's say it said something like, gosh, I'm really lost on this app. I don't know what I'm looking for. I've considered everything from open relationships to monogamy to 90-Day Fiance, right? I am not a big drinker. I enjoy the X, Y, and Z. I love humans who have dogs. A night for me on a good night for me on a Saturday night is board games and Chinese food. If these things were said to me off the bat, and it said everything that I wanted it to say, what would my response be? I think my response would be, I want to learn more, right? I might say something like, let's have a dialogue about some of these things, right? But I'd say, I want to learn more. Right now, here's the other side of the equation. What if the message says everything you don't want it to say? Well, then at least you've gotten that message out of the way, right? Somebody messages me and they say, I am 100% monogamous. I'm looking for marriage within the next year. I only have dated plus size women my entire life, right? So somebody says, I'm plus size, but I hate my body, or I want to lose weight, or I just had weight loss surgery. That might be a challenge for me, right? Because I'm very fat acceptance, right? Or somebody says, I'm really into waking up at 4 a.m. and going for a run. Okay, I could deal with that. Do you expect me to go on that run? I don't know, right? So they say these things. It might be just better than to just get that out of the way and say, okay, I don't think we're a good fit. Now, here's where I want to get into for just a couple minutes, because we only have a few minutes before we exit. And I want to just say, between the chat on my Facebook Live and Johnny just being a rock star, thank you everybody for participating today. And I'll tell you, if you were just chiming in, right? I don't claim to be the expert at all on dating. Okay, I am the expert on keeping my mouth open and I keep talking. I think that having everyone's perspective on information like this is super important. I'm not going to be the first to tell you I disagree with some of these things that the self.com list said. I'm not the expert on how to build your profile, and I'm not the expert on how to have the best conversation and best interaction, but I love that we have folks who are saying this would intimidate me, this would make me excited, this is fun, that kind of stuff. So Johnny says, all that's in your profile. What I was writing was just to get them interested. Oh no, Johnny, I agree with you. I think that that's a very interesting approach. I think that I want to test that, when I get back on dating profiles in the next, I don't know how many months. For me right now, it's just not in the cards. I want to focus on my book. I want to focus on work. I want to focus on my life. I'm interested to see how that would work. If I message someone and said, this is Christopher, here are the 3 to 5 things you want to know about me. Does that vibe with you? Maybe it works. I don't know. But I want to get into this for a second before we exit. I want to get into what happens, because this was a conversation I had with somebody recently. I said, how do I tell this human that I'm not interested in them? And we were having this conversation, and they said, gosh, that's a tough one. You had a good interaction with them? I said, yeah, I did. I had a good interaction because I'm kind and I'm pleasant, and they're kind and they're pleasant. But, their lifestyle is different than mine. I just don't know what to say, I have a major problem with this, and we'll close out with this. When you've decided it's not working, I've seen 2 things when you've decided it's not working that people do, okay? The first thing that they do is they ghost. I hate that. I hate the ghosting premise. Unless you are in danger or you're uncomfortable. You're in danger, you're uncomfortable, ghost, bounce, block, report, whatever you need to do to get out of that situation. I'm all about consent. I'm all about making sure you are safe, without a doubt. If you just don't want to have an uncomfortable conversation, I'm not a huge fan of the ghost. You've shared a moment with someone that may contain some intimacy, whether it be vulnerability verbally or intimacy on a date, right? And I don't mean intimacy as in physical intimacy. I mean getting to know someone. It takes a lot to go on a date. For both a male, female, hetero, gay, LGBTQ, interracial, I don't care what kind of relationship you're in, there's a varied level of vulnerability that you've shared, right? To ghost someone, I think, it's rude. I just think it's not the right thing. Unless you think that you're in inherent danger. And then by all means, ghost, step away, step back, do your thing, right? The other thing I don't love, when people know it's going downhill, whether it's a 15-minute conversation or a 15-year relationship, you tend to say things that you would never say to somebody if you wanted them to stick around, that you wouldn't want published in a newspaper the next day. You'll say things that completely berate, destroy, harm, emotionally and psychologically, just absolutely, kill that person. And, apologies are apologies, but I don't think that that's the right thing to do. I just don't, right? So how do you end something, whether it be, so it's easier to just tell them the kindest way. I agree with that, right? And here's what I think we're missing as a generation. I keep saying generation, as a population, because now as a population we're online, right? Here's what I think we're missing. Someone tells you genuinely, I enjoyed my time with you. I enjoyed this conversation. However, right? I don't feel that connection, or I don't see a connection going forward, right? We tend to, as a population, do exactly what I just said on the other end, where we just lose our crap on them. Well, how dare you? Your hair's the wrong shade of brown anyway for me, and you're 10 pounds underweight, overweight. Your glasses are foggy, and your dog smells funny. Whatever, right? There's nothing wrong with saying, thank you. I appreciate that. I wish you the best. And good luck, right? So I think that we need to treat, I always talk about the online community in general. I mean, I've been bullied, harassed. I've said things that I shouldn't have said online too. Nobody's perfect. Okay. It's like a constant state of being in a car. You know how when you're in a car, you might honk your horn, flip somebody off, call them a name, to a point like you never say that in person. I remember one time somebody stopped their car and wanted to fight me. I'm like, are you seriously trying to fight me right now? I just yelled at you. And I'm like, all right, well, you probably shouldn't have yelled at them, right? So maybe don't do that, right? Same thing. You're online. It does not give you the opportunity. It does not give you the right to say things that are hurtful. If you didn't have a successful online interaction, unless they were a complete jerk, and if they were rude, if they took a liberty, if they took an entitlement that they shouldn't have, if they said something that was out of line, by all means, put them in their place, okay? But if you just didn't have a good interaction, there's no need to ghost. There's no need to be rude. You just say, hey, I appreciate your time. I do appreciate the time of maybe that coffee we shared or whatever. I'm not feeling it, right? Some people have even gone on to say, I'll reimburse you for the coffee. Okay, cool. Not something I care about, right? The $4 or $5 is not, it's nice to hear, but I don't need that. Means that you're genuinely, a good person. Doesn't need to happen. So in that closing, okay, I'm going to remind everybody as you go out tonight. I think the bars might be closing again in Vegas. I just heard from Alicia, actually, who typed earlier. So if you're going out tonight and you're having a COVID Facebook date or FaceTime date, whatever it is, as we engage online through profiles, through online conversations, please remember that the people on the other side of that conversation are 1,000% human. They have feelings. They live lives. They have families. They have people who care about them. They have people who trust in them. They have people who don't want to see them hurt. Speak to them as if you would be speaking to someone in your life that you wouldn't want to see hurt, someone that you cared for, right? And speak to them in a way that if it were put in a headline the next morning, you'd be okay with, right? With that, I want to say this is WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Salute of The Barbershop. Thanks for hanging out with me in my second studio, my makeshift garage. We got to make this place look better, CC. Maybe you come up and visit in Vegas and we'll make it look nicer. But thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Really appreciate the amazing feedback from all the folks we got in here. Keep that coming. Y'all have a good evening. Stay safe and stay kind. Thanks so much.